Russia has launched over 110 missiles and at least about 150 drones on Kiev and other Ukrainian cities. And this attack has resulted in at least about 18 people getting killed, while several hundred others are said to have been wounded. Russia has said that its forces have carried out at least about 50 ground attacks and also one massive strike, adding that all of these were targeted successfully. There were several powerful explosions that rocked Kiev early on Friday morning after a week of relative calm. Now, Ukraine's Air Force has said that the Russian forces launched a wave of suicide drones followed by the missiles. The Kiev's mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, said that the capital's air defenses were active as the injured are now being rushed to the hospitals. In the latest, the Polish president, Andrzej Duda, has also convened an emergency meeting of the National Security Council after the Polish army detected an unidentified object in its airspace. Remember, Poland is a member of the NATO military alliance. The drones and missiles struck at least 5 other Ukrainian cities, including the likes of Kharkiv in the northeast, Lviv in the west, Dnipro in the east, and Odessa in the south. In Ukraine, several buildings in the city of Dnipro were damaged. At least about 5 people were killed and 20 others were injured in Dnipro. Dnipro's governor has said that a shopping center and also a maternity hospital were amongst the buildings that were struck. 4 patients were rescued from a fire at a maternity hospital.
The main strike was in the shopping center. There was a strike near the maternity hospital. Thank God, no one was injured. There was an air alert. People were evacuated.
The overnight and the early morning attacks have come just days after Ukraine struck a Russian warship in the Crimean port of Feodosia. And this was a major setback for the Russian Navy, and retaliatory attacks were in fact expected from across the border. After over 22 months of fighting, Russia has renewed its push to capture more Ukrainian territory in recent days. Russian troops have also captured the Ukrainian city of Mariinka last week. After weeks of fighting, the fall of Mariinka has in fact been Russia's most significant battlefield victory since the capture of Bakhmut in the month of May earlier this year. And also to give us more perspective on this, we're being joined in by defense expert Sergei Samleny, who's joining us live from Kiev. Now, Mr. Samleny, this is a kind of an attack that we've not witnessed in a number of days. What do you think has sparked this sudden upsurge in the number of attacks that we've witnessed by Russia in the last 24 hours?
Oh, yes. Hello, and thank you for having invited me to this program. This is not unexpected, what happened tonight. It was clear that the Russians are stockpiling missiles and drones to massively attack Ukraine during the winter holidays. And actually, many expected a large attack to happen already on Christmas Eve. Russians waited like 3 days with this large barrage of missiles and drones, and now we can expect that the next days, including the New Year Eve, will also be full of the Russian missiles. This is not unexpected. This is what Russia is doing, which Russia did last winter, trying to terrorize the population, trying to attack as much civilian target as possible. We have seen the maternal hospital being hit in Dnipro. Mall have been hit in Ukraine, like several residential buildings, multi-story residential buildings have been hit in Kiev, in Odessa, and in other cities. Right. That is what Russians try to do to demoralize the Ukrainian population.
All right. Now, this is something that's going to be talked about a lot in the days and weeks to come. The fact that the American support for Ukraine appears uncertain. The last tranche of the American support of $250 million, that's now been disbursed. But now for any more funding for the Americans to be sending for both military and other financial needs for Ukraine, Joe Biden will need to get the approval of the Congress. But that seems pretty difficult. What is the mood like within Ukraine at the prospect that there could not be more American support coming in?
It is indeed very depressing news, and the Ukrainians don't understand what is happening in the U.S. as like even the Republicans say that they support Ukraine and want to provide weapons to Ukraine, but the internal fight on absolutely internal localized disputes between the Republicans and the Democrats stop them to do this. And while the U.S. since several months is doing very little to support Ukraine militarily. The Ukrainians continue to die on the battlefield, and that is not how you demonstrate your support for your ally, which is being attacked only because of this alliance, as Russia attacked Ukraine because of Ukraine's alliance with the United States. And that is some sort of, if you allow me, a betrayal of an ally, and that is not what may happen. But Ukraine has got like some military support from the South Korea, hundreds of artillery shells, which the US has not provided to Ukraine, but the South Korea has provided. There are, since days, rumors that F-16s have finally been transferred to Ukraine. I have no confirmation of that until now, but if they have been provided or will be provided, will happen soon, and there is no need from the US to do this. They will be sent from Europe, and that is what provides Ukrainians with hopes. And we have seen also military successes of Ukraine lately. 5 high-tech Russian jets have been shot down during the last weeks, and a Russian large amphibious attack vessel have been hit in the harbor of the Russia-occupied Feodosia, having caused significant damage to the harbor itself. And according to Ukrainian intelligence, a lot of ammunition stored on board of this transport vessel has been destroyed. That is all what shows the Ukrainians they can't hit Russian army. And so the only thing what Russian can do is trying to continue to kill Ukrainian civilians.
All right. Now, Mr. Samlani, there is a word that you used. You're joining us from Kiev, and the way you described that waning American support is that it feels like betrayal. Now, there are reports within the German media which indicate that Joe Biden and also the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz probably in private could be nudging the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to try and negotiate with the Russians. Give us a sense of what the mood is like within Ukraine about this war, about the waning support by the Americans, and now these reports that Joe Biden and also his European allies, predominantly Olaf Scholz, are now nudging Zelensky to negotiate with Russia.
While there is no understanding in Ukraine of such calls, and I am as a German citizen and a German politologist, I cannot understand why my Chancellor Olaf Scholz tries to stick to this idea of consultation with Putin or signing some sort of compromise with Putin. Vladimir Putin is a person who has decades of history of breaking any contract and any treaty he has signed. We know that Vladimir Putin uses any ceasefire and any freezing of a conflict only to one goal, to accumulate more power, accumulate more army, and to strike you when he believes that you are weak enough. There is like no significant, like no any sign that Vladimir Putin would be able to change his pattern of activity. So if Ukraine will be forced to do something, it will have devastating consequences for Ukraine. And that's why nobody in Ukraine can agree with that. And I have heard threats from Ukrainian military and politicians who say, if Europe tries to do it, we will just politely decline this idea and will continue to fight, because they know that only fighting the Russians may help Ukrainians to survive.
All right, we'll have to leave there. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Samlani, for joining us from Kiev and giving us that perspective there.
Thank you so much.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.